Hello, it has been a while. If you ever paid attention, then you might have wondered what happened to me. Where did I go? Well, I had been wondering, where was all of the leveling up that I thought was going to happen from discovering my spirituality and the truth? Which, now that I think about it, I just realizing what so many others have come to realize at this time, and that have come to realize that in our history, way far back in Egyptian times. It doesn't work like magic. It's not a cure-all or a fix-all. It is a way to give you a window in which to reflect upon your actions, your behaviors, your habits, the things that you believe, why you believe them. It gives you a chance to look at your entire way you've lived your life and see it in a context of something much bigger than just yourself. Just your selfish, personal slice of what we know as reality. But when it awakens in you, the truth, you definitely suddenly want to become better, more. And if you're not mindful, the ego is going to step in and take control of that whole process. When you start the process of your desire to be better so that you can be a better force in the world, so that you can bring and add something good that wasn't there before, to help move humankind and their conscious awareness into another level on a whole, you just can't do that the day after you realized, or the week that you awoke, or a couple of months. It's a process, because we need to heal. We came to this journey because we were suffering. And the hope was that all suffering would end, and it can, and it does. But you have to use it. You can't, it can't do magic for you. You have to be mindful of how this new information plays into your life, the way that you've been doing things. And you have to be honest to yourself about, how you feel about your situation, your life, your choices up to this point, because, you chose them based off of your unconscious archetype. So, one of the things that I have come to understand is that I am most definitely experiencing what is known as the victim archetype. I was in a situation that, through its contrast to what feels good, pushed me in a direction where I prayed, I was seeking answers to my anxiety, to my agoraphobia, to my life situation, to why I was here, and what was keeping me here. The answer that I got the very next day was that I am acting out and have been for a while, since I've been a teenager, the victim archetype. And for the most part, this has definitely been unknowing, but my reaction had been to cut off the source of the fear, run away from it, get away from it, run, hide. And that manifested eventually into other aspects of my life, as every time I did it, it succeeded, and it reestablished those neural connections that's what I should be doing the second that I feel fear or threatened. Realizing this is also not a solution in itself. It is an eye-opener and an opportunity to now look at my behaviors and my situation and see more clearly, how I got here. It also gives me the opportunity to see how I can begin to rectify the way that I've been perceiving the world and myself and the situations in a way that is more empowering. Because right now I am in the shadow victim, very much so. I have all the telltale signs: irritable mood, restless, sometimes racy heart, dry mouth. Not quite panic attacks, not quite. But definitely unpleasant enough for me to know that there's something I need to be paying attention to here. It's not how I should be feeling, and what thoughts am I having that are creating this. And I realized through that it's like I've become addicted to ruminating over, every possible scenario that could happen in the future related to maybe a situation that wasn't very pleasant, and every other way that it might have gone better. And even if I were to stumble across a scenario that actually relieved me of my stress and anxiety for a short amount of time, and I could pinpoint that as a very healthy way to further move forward thinking of this, the intrusive thoughts would just come back again. And this forced further inquiry into intrusive thoughts and ruminating. So intrusive thoughts are thoughts that just come up out of nowhere and you're not responsible for them. And ruminating is when you're making a choice to withdraw, to stew, to think, to mull over the uncomfortable aspects and potentials of a situation and visualizing ways that you might be victimized and how that may feel in advance. Learning to be aware that you even do this in a way has been such a relief, because now I know I can do something about it. I can put a plan together, pay attention. Whereas before it was just unconsciously doing its thing, creating its chaos in the background, unobserved. It was invisible. My searchlight could have shined right on it and it wouldn't have seen it for what it was, because I never saw myself as a victim. I knew that that's what I was when it made me uncomfortable, and I felt that feeling inside of me. And I'm pretty sure this is called dissonance or bias dissonance. I think I'm wrong, but the feeling was that I didn't want to face that feeling. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. It made my heart race. It made me feel like a little weird plummet had happened in my stomach, and that physical reaction was my indication that this was something that actually I needed to pay attention to. So I did. And I instantly began to learn as this individual, Caroline, I think Miss, or Miss, M-Y-S-S, began to speak about the victim archetype, and I had my whole life revealed to me, just laid out on the table. Everything that she said, I could match it up to something in my life that I had, situation that I had been in, how I felt, the stress, the outcome, and I realized this was me. This was what I've been trapped in. I think the ego played with me a little bit so that I felt guilt and shame for not having seen it sooner and having been a burden to people. And realizing how that way of thinking and being most likely has led me to hurting some people in my entitledness. This is the process. It's not the outcome. It's a journey. And I take this and I have to keep moving forward. And I have to keep healing. I have to keep learning how to listen to my body, to my mind, to my heart, to my higher self. And I have to be patient, and I have to have faith. And I have to focus on self-empowerment, which is taking the steps to, in a healthy way, begin to be very loving, to make loving choices, to make healthy choices for myself, to set boundaries and stand by them. And I think that I could say that anybody who's already been through this, that you've already recognized what your kryptonite is, and you are determined, like I am, to face it and incorporate it, and then, release what isn't serving me anymore. And if you've beat it, if you've done it, if you're on the other side, if you're liberated, I'm so proud of you, because you did fantastic, because it's not easy. The way the mind is, you've taken, for me, 46 years to establish a program in my head of what reality is. Rules, customs that are cultural, social, interpersonal, and everything has to be kind of thrown upside down now, and I have to reevaluate a lot of things, because if your life if you're not happy in your life, if you're miserable, if you're suffering, and nothing's really happening to you externally to create that suffering, then you're responsible for the way you are seeing the world and the actions you are taking in that world that are leading you, and that led me to where that place is, to this place that I am existing right now. And I have to get out of it by doing the victim's journey to the enlightened victim. And I don't know what's beyond that, but I'm definitely can assure you I'm struggling day to day just to get through this. It's not like I have created something out of nothing because I wanted validation. It is related to a childhood trauma, an actual time when I truly experienced true victimization. And there are situations that have happened that have triggered that throughout my life. And this recent one is, it's where I'm recognizing that it's important for me to go through this unpleasant situation to wake me up to myself, to wake me up to my unconscious way of being that's creating the suffering, because I asked for that awareness. I asked to see that. And I also asked for help to overcome it and to get rid of it out of my life. And I've been shown ways to empower myself. You know, I always had dreams about needing to drive, and I've decided I'm going to learn how to drive. I've got the book, I've already started, and I'm committed to reading it and taking my test and getting my driver's license, at least my beginner's. 2 years before I can get my real one. And, you know, I've not been very good to myself health-wise. I can make a lot of excuses and justifications for why you're not eating right, exercising, doing things, especially when you play the victim role and you surrounded yourself with people who enable you. So, my body's not in the best shape and I need to take care of it. So, I've already been eating better, and I cut out all burgers, all Tim Hortons coffees. There are my 2 bad vices. And still, thank God, because today was a tough day, no alcohol. And I'm making this video because I struggled really, really hard today with the fear reactions and the intrusive thoughts that would then start my ruminating, and then I would end up having anxiety and experiencing it to the point where it was so unpleasant that I was stuck in a loop. And I'm like, I can't go through this all day if I can't do something with this brain. And I was visualizing reaching and getting alcohol that I know has been in the fridge for months, from a time way back when. That's not even mine, but nobody cares about it. So I could drink it and it wouldn't matter. But it mattered to me. So I prayed today and I asked to please help me get over this urge to drink. And instantaneously the phone rang, and it was my daughter. And so I got distracted and we talked for a bit because she was getting groceries, and then we hung up and she called again. And by the time we were done talking, I had calmed down, because we were talking about getting groceries and choices and food and this and that. And it's just very relaxing, calming, and it took my mind out of the loop, and I was able to be in the moment. And by the time I was done, I didn't have the desire anymore to do that. I was alarmed that I was overcome with the desire to do that in the first place. I already know It's not a crime to drink if you choose to, once in a while or all the time or whatever. You're only hurting yourself. That's why I don't drink, because this idea that I'm braver, smarter, less anxious when I'm drinking. I held it for a long time, and it was how I coped with a lot of things. I might not have been an alcoholic, but for me, I knew that it was a crutch. And that's all it ever was. And so I let it go. I asked to let it go, and I let it go, I think, June of 2022. And I think I've had 2 opportunities since then where I was given some drinks and I sipped them and drank them responsibly, feeling a little bit anxious and nervous about it in general, but coming to some sort of peace with the fact that it's okay to do that once in a while for fun or enjoyment or to celebrate something, but you don't have to get loaded. You don't have to end up puking in the bathroom. You don't have to end up sick for days. And it's not something that you use to solve your problems. But at the same time, I know that there's no higher power judging me if I were to. There's no right and there's no wrong. And if it keeps you alive and it keeps you going for another day, then you do what you have to do to stay alive till you're stronger another day. I just don't believe that it makes me strong. I think that facing the fact that played the victim, and I used that because it was easier than facing things and taking responsibility for the outcome of things, that I'm where I am, and I'm saying I don't want to be here anymore, and I don't want to do this for the rest of my life like this. I'm ready to start setting boundaries, to start making a priority to take care of myself, to empower myself. I mean, it's already started. Today felt like a day that I really needed to just get out there and share this for my own empowerment. And anybody else out there, I don't know if hearing me talk about this triggered you, but if it did, that's a sign right there. It's an invitation to inquiry about that aspect. Because sometimes the challenge is the way. And my challenge is empowerment. That power comes from within, not from external validation, not from manipulating people for security, not for withdrawing from the world because everything is threatening, not being irritable and angry because you can't control everything, feeling isolated, alone, misunderstood on the outside, and all the feelings that are low vibrational that come with that. And to realize that it's a choice and that I don't have to perceive myself that way, and that I can think any way I want about myself gives me amazing freedom and options to change my whole way of thinking about myself, my life, everything. And I hope that this leads to something really good for me, and I will do my utmost as I do this healing journey and still have a family. Try to keep things updated more often for everyone's benefit. It's good to have a record. Thank you for your time and being with me, and until next time, be good to yourself so that you can be even gooder to others. Until then, take care.